Imagine you are a powerful demon prince, but you fall in love with an angel and now have to face the wrath of your former friends and family. Fortunately, you have found new friends who will stand unyieldingly by your side and face up to the evil. Will the battle of good and evil end well this time too? After the 7 deadly sins defeated the evil forces, the people in the Kingdom of Leones also gradually returned to a peaceful life. From wanted criminals, the 7 deadly sins became heroes of the kingdom. That night, Ban tells Meliodas that he will temporarily withdraw from the 7 deadly sins to return to the Fairy King's forests. The next day, King Bartra awards Meliodas' group with medals for their victory. But below are a few disgruntled officers. These 3 are members of the Pleiades of the Azure Sky. They want to test the power of the 7 deadly sins, so they challenge Captain Meliodas to a duel. Hawk sees that the power of the 3 men is weak based on the earring Merlin gave him. The name of this earring is Balor's Magical Eye. In legend, Balor is an overbearing god who spreads calamity. Thanks to that, Hawk gains the ability to see the enemy's power level stats. At this point, one of them steps up to challenge Meliodas, but he is instantly defeated with a single punch. But this guy refuses to admit defeat. He uses a series of punches to attack Meliodas and ends up breaking 10 fingers. Meliodas only hits him lightly and makes him roll like a ball. Witnessing the power of the 7 deadly sins, the remaining men carry their friend and flee immediately. Hawk then tries to see the strength stats of his teammates. As a result, everyone is much stronger than him. The Scraps captain seems quite distressed because everyone's power level is between 3,000 and 4,000, while he's only 30. King isn't present at the medal ceremony today either, because he goes with Ban to the Fairy King's forest. Later on the way, the group runs into 3 knights. The dark-haired guy, named Griamore, is the son of the great knight Dreyfus, whose father was murdered by the great holy knight Hendrickson. Hawk observes their power stats and sees that all of them have power levels below 2,000. The 3 knights still don't understand why Dreyfus and Hendrickson treated everyone so well, but they drank demon blood and became evil. At this moment, the capital suddenly experiences a violent tremor. But what is more frightening is that Meliodas senses that something dark has returned elsewhere. Dreyfus and Hendrickson are still alive. Dreyfus successfully breaks the seal, awakening a group of strangers. They are called 10 Commandments, an extremely powerful group of 10 elite warriors who are the strongest amongst the demon clan. What broke the seal was Meliodas' hilt and Elizabeth's blood, because Elizabeth is closely related to the goddess clan. After 3,000 years of being sealed, the 10 Commandments have returned to take revenge on humanity. The next day, on the way to the Fairy King's forest, Ban discovers Jericho has been silently following him and King. It turns out that after Jericho was saved by Ban, she fell in love with him. As soon as they see the Fairy King's forest, King senses a familiar source of magical energy, but he is not welcomed by his people because 700 years ago he abandoned them. Elaine was killed by the demon race because she didn't have a guardian. Meanwhile, Ban is revered by everyone and called Fairy King because he defeated the demons to avenge Elaine and save the forest. This time, Ban comes to visit Elaine's grave. No matter what it costs, Ban wants to revive her. At this time, inside the palace, from the data in ancient books, the 3 knights discover the cause of Dreyfus and Hendrickson's demonization. It was because they were possessed by some evil force. The 3 knights decided to leave the capital to investigate the truth. Ever since the tremor appeared, Elizabeth has always felt that Meliodas is behaving strangely. She meets with Diane to discuss her concerns. Diane tells her that Meliodas is the captain of the 7 deadly sins. Nothing can stop him. Diane recalls her memories, and it was only when King left that she realized her feelings for him. Meanwhile, King was originally the protector of the Fairy King's forest and the fairy realm, but now he is banished by his own people. Helbram shows up to comfort King, his soul still residing inside the hat King carries. Helbram tells King that Elaine never blames him for leaving. She just wants to tell King to protect Ban. However, Ban only sees King talking to himself and thinks there is something wrong with his head. Ban then reveals to King that Diane has recovered her memories. Perhaps now she is looking forward to King's return. Elsewhere, Merlin gives Gowther a purple potion and tells him to take one a day. But when he gets out, he throws the potion away, and the potion is later eaten by Hawk. Gowther is about to go out with Gila when her brother, Zeal, suddenly loses his memories for unknown reasons. However, Gila says that she has no brother and that Gowther is her only relative. It turns out that Gowther changed their memories. He wanted a heart that understood their feelings, so he removed the weaknesses in Gwyla's mind and replaced them with the memories he wanted. But for Diane, it is just a fake emotion from an unreal memory. Gowther's doing is so unfair to Gila's brother. Gowther doesn't allow anyone to interfere in his relationship with Gila, so he uses the blackout technique to knock everyone around within a 3-mile radius. However, Diane has magic resistance, so this move has no effect on her. Fortunately, the group appears in time before the capital is destroyed by the two. Gowther tells everyone to imprison him before he is no longer himself. Gowther later restores all of Gwyla's and her brother's memories. Meliodas forces Gowther to bow his head and apologize to them. But Gwyla thanks Gowther because while changing her memories, he accidentally brought her happy memories of the past back to her. At this time, the group of mercenaries that used to help everyone suddenly appears unexpectedly. They are Merlin's juniors and call her Big Sister. Merlin uses absolute cancellation magic to temporarily return Gowther to his original form. It turns out that Gowther's self is a doll. However, people are used to these strange things, so Gowther's problem is temporarily solved. During the conversation, everyone doesn't notice that Diane's eyes suddenly change color, but she is only slightly stunned, and nothing happens. At this moment, Merlin senses a strange magic appearing in the capital of the Camelot Kingdom, so everyone immediately flees there. They see a giant monster heading towards the city and recognize the creature as the great beast Albion, a weapon of destruction created by the demon clan in ancient times. Albion attacks the city but encounters the energy shield, which was the protection Merlin had prepared in advance. However, it only lasts a short while. Albion breaks through the defense the moment it wants to burn down Camelot's capital. It is suddenly hit by a powerful counterattack by Meliodas. Taking the opportunity, Meliodas and Arthur rush to attack it, but Arthur is caught, causing Meliodas to save him and break his sword. Fortunately, Merlin is holding Meliodas's sacred treasure. She bought the sword after Meliodas sold it to a pawn shop 10 years ago. Meliodas takes the sacred treasure, which greatly increases his power. He easily cuts off the beast's arm, and Meliodas eventually uses the clone technique combined with full counter to destroy Albion. At this time, in the Fairy King's forest, not only King, but even Jericho is driven out of the forest because she is a human. King senses that the entire forest is growing rapidly. It turns out that once a year, Ban will come to this place to share some of his power with the forest. The thing that revived the forest was Ban's blood. However, the elder of the fairy race doesn't like Ban because he is a human. For her, King is the only one suitable to inherit the Fairy King's throne. Suddenly, the fairies in the forest run away because they discover a giant monster has invaded the forest. By this time, Hendrickson had left the people of the demon race. He has returned to normal because the demon that possessed him has now transferred to Dreyfus's body. Hendrickson wants to warn everyone about the 10 Commandments, whose goal is to engulf the human world in terror and despair. The great beast Albion appearing in the capital Camelot was the beginning, and now it is the turn of the Fairy King's forest to be attacked by the demon race. King quickly shows up to protect the forest. He activates the Spirit Spear 4th configuration Sunflower to confront the monster's destructive light directly. Although King is blown away and seriously injured, he still refuses to back down because behind him is his homeland. Jericho runs to Ban for help, but now he is being held by the Elder. Although Ban has said that he only wants to revive Elaine and has no interest in being the Fairy King, she still doesn't believe him. Then a fight breaks out between the two. because of protecting Elaine, Ban is injured. The monster is about to approach the great tree. The elder immediately recognizes it is the weapon of the demon race that was sealed 3,500 years ago. King and the bear are fighting the monster. Although King has used the 5th configuration increase, it is still not enough to defeat it. Finally, the monster swings its arm and cuts the great tree in half. Witnessing King trying his best to protect the forest, the fairies rush to fight the monster. Seeing the wounded fairies, King gets angry. He activates the strongest form of the sacred treasure, the true Spirit Spear Chastity Fall, and pierces the monster's body very quickly. The monster is dissolved into dust. Elsewhere, the 10 Commandments discover that the monster has been defeated. They don't expect that, in this era, there are still humans strong enough to oppose the demon race. The first monster is killed by its own attack, and the second is killed in the fairy forest. This time, one of the 10 Commandments will go into battle. At this time, through Meliodas' explanation, everyone knows about the existence of the 10 Commandments. The sacred treasure can help Meliodas clone, but his power will also be divided equally among the 5 clones. Suddenly, from the sky, something just landed. The one who appeared is Galand, one of the 10 Commandments. Hawk sees Galand's power level is 26,000, an extremely scary number. He is stronger than any member of the 7 deadly sins. With a single attack, Galand wipes out a city, turning it to dust. Meliodas immediately clones himself to attack Galand, but he still cannot reach him. All of Meliodas' clones are quickly defeated. Diane returns to her giant form, but is no match for Galand either. Galand teleports behind Merlin and attacks her. Luckily, her junior saves her, making him lose an arm because the enemy is too strong. Merlin pretends to surrender to buy time, but soon she is petrified. It turns out that anyone who lies to Galand will be turned to stone. There is no way to withstand this commandment bestowed by the Demon King. The knights of the kingdom rush to attack Galand, but they are immediately killed. With no other choice, Meliodas activates the power of the demon race to fight. Meanwhile, the 10 Commandments are discussing the destruction of humanity. When 2 humans come to demand protection money, they say this is their mineral deposit, and they ask the 10 Commandments to leave. The 10 Commandments immediately devour the souls of these 2 men. One of them opens a summoning ring to send her minions to a nearby village to collect human souls. At this point, Meliodas wants to use the power of the demon race to defeat Galand, but he is still stabbed by Galand with a spear. In Galand's eyes, Meliodas is a treacherous warrior who has become weak after siding with the humans. Galand destroys Merlin's petrified body and steps forward to attack Elizabeth and King Arthur. Fortunately, he can't break the barrier protecting them, so he leaves without realizing something is clinging to him. After Galand left, Gother now slowly appears and smiles amusedly. Meanwhile, the 3 knights are walking on the road when they notice something strange. They see a group of people standing like they have lost their souls. It turns out that the people in the nearby village are being attacked by a demon who takes their souls. It is the same type as the red demon that once attacked the Fairy King's forest. The trio immediately goes to the village and combines moves to destroy the demon. The souls return to their bodies, but right after that, a white demon stronger than the red demon shows up. It looks exactly like the demon Hendrickson used to draw blood from. At this time, Hendrickson suddenly appears, shocking the trio. They think he died in the battle with Meliodas. Hendrickson reveals that not only he, but even Dreyfus is still alive. This makes Dreyfus's son, Griamore, find it very hard to believe. Hendrickson offers to work with the trio to defeat this monster. Thanks to Hendrickson's help, the trio successfully defeats the monster. Hendrickson uses Purge to erase its soul. Purge is the Zaratra's secret technique. He is Guilt Hunter's father. Gil angrily asks Hendrickson why he killed his father. Hendrickson reveals that 10 years ago, a huge hole suddenly appeared in the territory of the Leon's kingdom. The king had tasked him with investigating this matter with Dreyfus, so they went there. That year, they were still young knights, full of enthusiasm, devoted only to their country, and enjoying simple family fun. After reaching the bottom of the wormhole, they discovered that it was the residence of an extremely evil creature, a rush to take over Dreyfus's body. But Dreyfus's will to resist was so strong, so it turned to Hendrickson and succeeded in taking over his body. Dreyfus dared not kill it for fear of hurting Hendrickson's body. It used Hendrickson's life to threaten Dreyfus. Having no other choice, Dreyfus gave up resistance and let it take over his body. It then planned to murder the great knight Zarathos and place all the blame on the 7 deadly sins. People said that the creature was a demon named Fraudrin. 16 years ago, it murdered the girl Meliodas loved the most. By this time,